Either way, this was Baker Mayfield talking about Tom Brady's tenure in Tampa, and then Brady responded on the telecast yesterday.
Tom was different. He had everybody dialed in, high-strung environment, so I think everybody was pretty stressed out. So for me, and everybody was expecting the Bucs to not be good last year, so they wanted me to come in, be myself, bring the joy back to football a little bit for guys that weren't having as much fun.
I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
Now, so again, Baker says that his comments were taken out of context. You saw what he said. I mean, but that's your guy, Brady. How about that response?
They weren't taken out of context. That's okay, Baker.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Right.
That's the truth of how it is when somebody like Tom or Aaron comes into an organization. It's like, I'm not here to mess around. I mean, I played with this guy when we won 21 games in a row, all right, over the course of 2 seasons with a Super Bowl in between, 21 in a row. And it wasn't exactly joyful, okay? And we didn't care. I want joy. I'm going home to my beautiful wife and my kids, and that way, that's where I get my joy, okay? You come to work to get championships won. And that is, I don't think they knew that in Tampa Bay until Tom got there. And so I already referenced the blow-up that Brady had on the sideline the fourth week because these guys just don't get it. Well, you got to make them get it sometimes. Tom led that message. Tom has a lot of Bill Belichick in him. As much as everyone wants to separate the two, they are the same entity, okay? And Tom brought that to Tampa Bay, and Baker was absolutely right. Was it stressful? Heck yeah. When you got this guy named Tom Brady all over you to get a route run right, maybe because your toes pointed a certain way, details matter. That's absolutely how it is, Baker. It's okay.
Because it almost brings back nightmares, like nightmares being in those meetings and you had your notebook right there because you were afraid Bill's gonna call on you and all those type of things. But I think the thing that stood out to me the most during my time in New England, and Teddy knows this, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's what Tom was referencing. It's like, bro, like if you want to be comfortable and all that type of stuff, cool. Like
play for the Jets.
Hey,
there's different ways of being serious about a game.
All right, they're kind of going off the rails here, and I actually want to have a serious conversation about this. All right, listen, this is the way how I see it. I think both guys are right, both Baker and Tom Brady. And let me see if I can break this down and add some nuances, because everyone's just trying to pile on Baker Mayfield, and I don't think that's entirely fair, because they bring different things, and there's different expectations that Baker's bringing to a franchise than Tom Brady, okay? Now listen, when you are as elite, obviously, as a Tom Brady, and it's Super Bowl or bust every year, it's not about having fun, right? Because you can truly get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. The expectations are through the roof, and everything needs to be buttoned up right. You're not there for fun. You are there for work. It is a job. You are there to get the job done. And when you are around that high level of greatness, which I've been fortunate enough to just even remotely be around, yeah, the intensity is like unbearable. I mean, it is. You either break and crack and crash, or you survive it. And it can be difficult. You feel it. You feel it as an athlete. You feel it when you're out in the field. You feel it at practice. You feel it on the bus. I've had coaches and players like that where you're just like, you can't be yourself, and it's exhausting. But it's okay if you're winning. When you're winning, then that's just what needs to be done. For some people, not everyone. Some people, I personally did not love that. That was not how I like to operate. I didn't like a totally loose ship either, because that also wasn't fun, because then it was hard to reel. I mean, I like balance. I like a little bit of both. I don't want to feel like if I make a mistake out in the field, my life is over. And that is what some coaches do. and and other players even, you know, other leaders of the team can make you feel like if you just do anything wrong, it's just you're done. It's over. See ya. Bye. Never again. That can be a hard environment to thrive in. But when you're a tightly functioning machine like Tom Brady and the Patriots have been, and like what he got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be, yeah, that's kind of what it's about, right? You need to focus. You can't be celebrating and singing and dancing when you're up 7-0. There's work to do. And it worked. It got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. It matters. It matters big time. But if you're not winning Super Bowls, then creating that environment can only be more crushing, right? When you have a coach like Bill Belichick, when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, that environment you can actually thrive in. But it doesn't mean that environment makes you a winner. You understand what I'm saying? Like he said, be comfortable being uncomfortable, which he tried to act like that was like the most profound statement ever. It's just like a common statement. I say stuff like that all the time. You know, I always call like, you know, organized chaos. But that doesn't automatically breed you to be a great player or winner. We know that. We see this in parenting. People think if they're really hard on their children, they're going to be tough. They're going to be disciplined. No, they break. No, they end up going to jail. No, they end up doing awful things. We see this again and again and again. And we see this with teams as well. The hard coach who's just, I'm just coaching you hard. A lot of those teams completely fail. So unless you're a brilliant coach, unless you're and you have amazing players like the Tom Brady's, it doesn't work. Bill Belichick tried to continue that trend. He didn't have Tom Brady anymore. He didn't have a great top-level coach or quarterback and players, and it did not work. So again, it needs to be a balance. What Baker Mayfield is going to bring the Buccaneers, what he brought to the Buccaneers, is not that environment. So they're going to be able to win in a different way. Will they be able to reach the levels of Tom Brady's greatness? No, because no one is right now. Not even Patrick Mahomes. Maybe one day Mahomes will, but not yet. So again, you can't argue with what Tom Brady's saying, but you also can't argue with what Baker's saying, because Tom Brady leaves now, and they're still kind of having that level of intensity, and it's like, well, Tom's not here right now. We're going to have to kind of hit the refresh button. You bring that same level of intensity and uncomfortableness. If Tom's not there, then it's not going to work. It's like trying to drive a car without a driver. You're just going to crash, okay? That's just how it works. So it's just really interesting. Another great way to look at it, to kind of stick with the driving analogy, is you have an F1 driver, right? They're the best drivers in the entire world. They're going over 200 miles per hour in some like the most insane circuits you could ever imagine. And yeah, they're not just like having fun and letting loose. Like, it's intense. You're focused. You're ready. Like it's just, you're locked in. You're literally going over 200 miles per hour in a one-seater. I mean, it's just wild, 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 wild. If you brought that same level of intensity of driving, your F-150, it's not going to work out too well for you, okay? Not a lot of people are going to want to drive in the truck with you. People aren't going to want to really be around you. But it doesn't mean, and if you let loose a little bit and you relax a little bit, doesn't mean that you still can't go places. Doesn't mean that you still can't, do some work and get some done, get some stuff done. So it's just different. So I think I totally understand what Brady's saying, because Brady's kind of seeing that, because he said, everybody was pretty stressed, and he was kind of saying it in a slightly negative way. But I also just think that Mayfield misspoke a little bit. This is where people are I don't think always do great podcasts. Because first of all, Baker Mayfield is not great at the mic personally. I don't think he is. Not everyone has the great gift of gab. Baker Mayfield can play football. He can ball. He can rally a locker room, get people behind him. But he's not the most nuanced speaker. He's already got caught saying weird stuff in the past, calling out his, personal training staff, physical therapists and stuff. So he hasn't always been good at that. But this is where a good conversationalist and a good podcaster, someone who's interviewing him, would have a conversation about it with him. They would say, wait, are you saying that they were really, like, Tom Brady was making them stressed? Like, you would unpack it a little bit. And then Baker Mayfield would be able to explain himself a little bit more and have room to be able to be like, no, listen, obviously what Tom Brady was doing was great and it was awesome, but now the locker room, once he left, it was not sustainable. It's only sustainable when you have someone as amazing and a leader like Tom Brady, and that's not the energy that I'm going to be able to bring to that locker room, so it was just not conducive. Also, the leadership of the Buccaneers were like, hey, we kind of have to, like, let go of Tom Brady's energy because Tom Brady's not here anymore, right? And he's not here, and that's okay. You're going to have to try to forge a different path. You're going to try to take some of the lessons that you learned from Tom Brady and try to execute that to the team, to the culture, but not 100% because it's not Tom Brady. You can't do that. You can't just copy and paste. It's not the way it works. So I just think if Baker was given a little bit more room and was even pushed a little bit to like kind of say some of those things, I think it would have landed better. But on the other side, I understand why Tom Brady, and this is why you can't always listen to super high achievers, right? It's why their opinions you have to take with a massive grain of salt. Tom Brady is not a real human being. His levels of success are not real. I always love when Tom Brady gives some sort of like talk, or you ever see him, on a reel or whatever, or short, and it's always like, you never give up. I never doubt myself. Or they always like give those little weird sound bites or whatever. And it's always like, Tom, that worked for you because you are one of one, dude. You achieved the highest levels. The way how you approached it, if we just took everything you did and approached it to other aspects of life, it would break 99% of the world out there. It's not possible. This is why I always love the quote. I always reference it. Phil Jackson to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was getting so infuriated with his teammates. He was losing his mind, and Phil Jackson was like, you need to stop. And he's like, well, I don't understand. They need to be better. They need to try harder. They need to work harder. And Phil Jackson was like, bro, they can't. They don't have that level like you. They are not you. What makes you special is your ability to do this, is your ability to take all the pressure and intensity and not break, to find that next gear. Part of what makes Tom Brady special is being able to be in insane levels of pressure that would crush most people. Just because it worked for Tom Brady doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else. And that's ultimately what was happening. That's what it comes down to. Not everyone can succeed in that environment. I'll be honest with myself. I can't succeed in that environment. I hate it. I've been put in those environments and I absolutely fundamentally hated it. I could have success, but not long-term success. I'm like, no, I'm done. Get out. Whatever. I don't need to make millions upon millions of dollars. I don't need to be super rich and famous and have 10 trophies. Give me 2 trophies. And let's cut the stress in half. Let's just cut the stress by like 15%. It's just how I operate. I'm sure it's how a lot of you guys operate. Maybe some of the people who want to cosplay and pretend, that's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. He knows he's the one that has all the rings. I get it, but you have to understand there's different ways to get to the same goal. And what worked for Tom doesn't work for everyone. What worked for Tom is not going to work for Baker. What makes Tom Brady so special, next level, is his ability to be special and to be next level and to endure the most intense emotions possible. 99% of the quarterbacks cannot do that. 99% of the people in the world cannot do that. That's why it's tough to take advice from the 0.00001%. That's why it's bad to take advice from Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Bill Belichick. They live on a different planet. They don't live on our planet. They speak a different language. They have different experiences. So yeah, I don't think Baker Mayfield needs to be called out or, made to feel like he did something wrong. I think the conversation itself was flawed. They should have had a better back and forth. I think Tom Brady should have also been better with his own words, actually. I understand that he was probably a little salty slightly, but like, you're the GOAT. You have all the rings. You're the mature guy. You had a second to kind of think about it, reflect. You're refined. Say, yeah, I get what Baker's saying. Listen, for me, I reached a point in my career where the expectations were to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. And with that comes a level of intensity. That's what we did with the Patriots. That's what I brought the Buccaneers. And hey, I think it worked out pretty well for me. Ha ha ha. And then you just leave it at that. Or you just say, and you know what? Baker's, forging his own path. And, so far they're humming along and he's really, brought some life to this Buccaneers team and they seem to be having fun and enjoying it. Hopefully that will lead to some of their own championships. You know, for me, it didn't. But hey, let's see if Baker can do it. Just something different. But he was definitely kind of like, I don't know. It just didn't need to be as confrontational as it was. And I was hesitant about even talking about this because to me this is more like gossip and manufactured content, but I wanted to take the chance to kind of defend Baker in this moment personally. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the whole conversation between Baker Mayfield and Tom Brady? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.